Hi everyone, welcome to episode 66 of Pantry to Plate. I am Kristen, the food bank dietitian, and we are coming to you from the Kaiser Permanente Learning Kitchen at the Atlanta Community Food Bank. And as you can see, we have special guests with us today from Tolteca Foods. This is Sophia and Jesus. They are brother and sister and is a family-owned company. They are here to celebrate Hispanic American Heritage Month with us today. Welcome. Thank you for having us. We are so excited for you to share some of your cultural foods with us in celebration of Hispanic American Heritage Month.
We're excited too. These are recipes that we grew up with and things that that we eat at home all the time. So we're excited to share this with you guys.
Fantastic. So we are going to be making red, white, and green tostadas today, and that aligns with the colors of the Mexican flag, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's like, can you tell us a little about what the colors mean?
Sure. So on the Mexican flag, the colors are green, representing hope and springtime and looking to the future. White represents purity and unity, and red celebrates the heroes who gave their lives during the revolution in Mexico.
And the celebration was last week?
Yeah, September 16th is Mexican Independence Day. Yeah.
Perfect. So we are right in the middle of Hispanic American Heritage Month.
Yeah.
And so we want to, let's just get into it. I could get wordy here. Let's do it. First off, what are tostadas, since we're going to be making them today?
So tostadas are basically a fried tortilla traditionally. It's hard, but you could use it like a taco. Anything that you put on a taco, you put on a tostada. The traditional one is fried, but they do have varieties that are made in the oven and with special ingredients like chia or flax or cactus. So we've come a long way from the traditional, but yeah, originally they're just fried corn tortilla.
And it's always corn.
Yeah, always corn.
Yeah. We were talking about what can we compare, how do you eat a tostada? What can we compare it to something that might be more familiar to our audience? And we came up with nachos. Yeah, so it's like one big nacho.
That's right.
So you don't have to worry about the toppings not touching all the nachos.
Exactly.
Or like an open-faced taco, if you will. But you all shared that a big difference between tacos and tostadas is you can have cold toppings, right? And tacos, you wouldn't.
Correct.
Do that. Yeah. Or fillings, I guess.
Yeah. As a main filling, yeah.
Exactly. Cool. So the first one is going to be the red chicken tinga tostada. So I'm going to pass it on to y'all and let me know what I can do to help.
Well, we already have tomato, onion, and garlic here that we kind of toasted off and then added some water to soften. So we're going to add this mixture to our blender. Be careful because it's still kind of hot. And to that, we're just going to need to add chipotle peppers and salt.
Yeah, so those come in a can and they're really spicy, right?
Yes, depending on your heat tolerance. So you can always, add one and then go from there if you think it needs more. So that's the good thing about those canned ones. And it also, you can often want to try it before you put it in if you have that bravery, just because chilies can differ in spiciness level even within the same kind of chili.
That's a really great tip.
So you kind of just want to add enough liquid that it's going to blend easily. And just two of these guys.
Ooh, that's a big one. No, I like spicy.
That was two.
So that makes more sense. And anytime I've used chipotles in the can, I never use the whole can. So
yeah, rarely.
They freeze really well. freeze them flat inside of a bag, and then you can just kind of like pop off a corner when you need it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we actually have some in the freezer right now. I know I do at home.
Yes. Well, they're so good for flavoring so many things.
So while that's going, we get rid of the rest of the stuff.
So the chipolates in the can are going to give a really good smoky flavor, right?
That's right. Sometimes if I'm trying to limit the amount of spice I have in my dish, I'll sometimes just take the sauce that's in the can and put that in my dish instead. So that'll limit how much of the seeds and stuff, which are really the spicy part.
Yeah, that's a really great tip.
So,
And this adobo sauce that's in the can, it's just a bunch of different seasonings,
I
right?
think, yeah. I believe so. So this chicken, we pre-shredded it. It was a rotisserie chicken. You can always use, if you made chicken soup, use the leftovers from this. I know that, if you have the carrots, celery, and onions with the chicken or the soup, you can also add that to your sauce, so you're not really losing the veg. Or you can use canned chicken for this as well, or, it's a really good recipe for like leftovers. So we added that to here, and then you just add the sauce. I don't want to spill.
I think there's like a misconception about Mexican food being healthy. But when you think about every sauce starts with vegetables. Every sauce is full of vegetables. So whether you see a whole vegetable on the plate or not, your dish is still packed with vegetables.
Definitely. And we didn't really use any oil for this one. So
That's right.
Nice. So you toasted the onion and the tomato like on a dry pan. So we got a nice char without nice.
And then just to finish it, having it soften, that's when we added the water. So yeah, now we just let it simmer, and we could move on to the next.
Perfect. So how long would that simmer for?
Probably around 10-ish minutes.
Since the chicken's already cooked in this case, it's more a matter of just simmering it down to where it's you get some of the liquid out.
Yeah.
And the flavor can kind of get into the meat.
Yeah, and that would be the same for canned chicken. Just drain off that liquid, and then I always talk about adding canned chicken into sauces, into like soups and stuff. So this is a perfect opportunity for that. Cool. Okay, so we got the red chicken tinga going. So now we're gonna move on to the next one, which is gonna be the white, which the white is a nice, awesome cheese on top of beans. So this one's gonna be a good vegetarian option. And we're gonna focus a little bit on how to use dried whole chilies in your cooking.
Yeah, so I'm going to pass you.
Oh, yes.
So for this chili blend, we brought guajillo. Guajillo, which is these long ones, ancho, and arbol. And the reason you want to use a blend is because each one of them is going to bring a different flavor profile to your dish. So with arbol, which is a smaller one, those really pack a lot of heat and have kind of more of an earthy flavor. Those are my favorite. And then guajillo, these longer ones, those are very popular right now. Like birria is big. That's used for that broth. And those kind of have more of like a tangy flavor, not too hot. And then you have the ancho, which those are actually what chipotle are made out of when you add the adobo and can them. And those have like a smoky, rich flavor. So we're gonna show how to toast them today, and kind of what you're gonna be looking for. So I have the heat at the highest level currently. Just wanna put the skin down.
And again, a dry skillet, right?
Yes, dry skillet. You can definitely like fry your chilies if you're making like a salsa or something, if you're going to add a lot of liquid. But if you're trying to do a powder, you don't want to add any liquid to that. So yeah, dry skillet. And it really doesn't take too long if your skillet's very hot, but you'll notice that the skin kind of bubbles a little bit. And they're very easy to burn because, yeah, it's like from one second to another, and that gives it a really bitter taste. So you don't want like, these look almost like black, but they're not. They definitely are like a red tint.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get to that burnt level.
And just so folks can see at home what they kind of look like in the stores when you have dried chilies. They'll come in a big bag and kind of in bulk almost. And yeah, so when if you see those big displays at the grocery store, you can now know what you're looking for and looking at.
Yeah.
And they're always so affordable.
Yeah, definitely. And usually a little bit goes a long way, but yeah, a pack will cost, $2.50 or so. So that's adding a lot of flavor for very little cost to your recipes.
You can already start to smell the flavors coming out of the chilies.
Yeah, and you can see they also, I should have shown earlier, but they're very hard when they're dry and not heated up. But once they're heated up, they bend and don't break.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely smell it all the way over here.
So let's see. I'm gonna try to find one that has
Giving you some bubbles.
Yeah.
And growing up, you'd be upstairs watching TV, and all of a sudden you'd feel the itch in the back of your throat as mom was cooking, getting the salsa ready for the week. You just know it's coming.
Yeah, but it's gonna be good, so
Exactly.
you don't complain.
Exactly.
It's part of the process. Yeah, you can see they kind of inflate as well as you go, and it's kind of hard. It's gonna be hard to show on camera for sure.
We'll do our best.
Yeah.
Where are some other places that you could use these chilies?
So the way that we're preparing them here, we're getting them ready to turn into like a chili powder. So there's a lot of ways that you could apply that, whether that is like we're doing today, mixing it into beans, but also like a different chicken dish, or if you want to add a lot more heat to it. I often like to have like a really spicy soup, so that would be good. Or if you're making like tamales, oftentimes these chilies are very crucial to that. And that's more, you'll end up steaming them and soaking them a lot more so that they're soft, and so you can blend that into the flavor.
So that's an extra step you can take, right? You can toast them and then you can soak them in a liquid just based on how you're planning to use it.
Exactly. So this one is starting to bubble, and it's like a good example. I don't know if I'll get that. Here we go. You can kind of see the color changes in certain areas, and that's kind of how you know that it's basically when you're toasting it, you're trying to get the oils out of it so that the flavors are out. So
There it
And
is.
there it is.
Yeah. So I think these are ready. You can see the smaller ones are starting to get a little dark. So then you just pull them from the flame and they should be ready.
So then at this point you would go straight into the blender to make
Correct.
your powder, which looks like this. Yeah.
So you want to de-seed. You pull these stems off and the seeds will come out.
Like an empty packet, right? They just fall out.
Do this. You probably want to use gloves because the oils will get on your fingers, but here we are. And you do that with the rest of them. Once you've got this, then you put it in the blender and it does turn into this blend.
Perfect. So we won't do that blending today because we definitely don't want like everyone to choke up.
Yes.
But
I bit that bullet for you.
and you can you have a lot of choices here. So the specific blend of chilies is doesn't have to be the specific mix. We're also adding cumin and paprika to add more flavor. And even with the beans, today's beans are started off canned, but you can make them from scratch, soak them overnight, and cook them. Or they also more recently have come out with these pouches of refried beans that you can just microwave, which makes it very quick to heat up a large amount of beans quickly. For this specific recipe, you'd have to put them in the pan anyway because you have to mix it with other stuff. But it's super useful. I'll often have breakfast and I'll make an egg scramble and just use these beans for a side.
Yeah. I'm just like, if you know me, I love beans. And if someone says, "Hey, how do I use these beans?" I'm like, "What do you like to cook?" Put beans in it. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna just say, add some beans because you're adding a good plant protein, but you're also adding fiber, which is missing from most folks' diets across the board. So beans are just a really great place for that.
Yeah, and with that said, it doesn't have to be black beans. There's also pinto that we use a lot, or really anything that you have at home, like beans. Red beans would work for this too. Yeah, exactly. So
any beans fit. You heard it here. I say it, they also say it. Tolteca Foods, exactly.
To move on with the recipe, we are just going to add in onion and garlic. We are using red onion because it's what we had. We would usually use white, but like you are at home, if you just have a white onion, just a red onion, that shouldn't stop you from making the recipe. It works just fine.
Yeah.
So we pre-diced both of these, and you just put a little bit of oil, wait for them to get a little bit translucent before adding the rest of your spices.
And you're not caramelizing it, you're not going to spend a lot of time on the softening. You just want to give them a little bit of time to soften. And actually, just like Sophie was saying about getting the oils out of the chili, so much of the principles of Mexican cooking are around getting flavors into the fat. So in this case, we use a little bit of olive oil. And so all of these flavors are just getting infused into that oil, which will then be mixed in with the beans and give it all of that flavor.
Yeah, I love that. That is what I teach for just about any dish that we prepare on Pantry to Play in my cooking classes. Cultures around the world are toasting their spices whole or fresh, or starting with a dried spice, which is what we are typically working with. So adding it to the dish before you might add a liquid, it's exactly the same thing. It infuses the flavor into the oil and allows it to incorporate into the whole dish just that much better. So we can take some notes from traditional Mexican cooking and use it in any dish.
Yeah. So I just added the cumin, and this is some smoked paprika, just to give it another element of smokiness. We were kind of trying to do a vegan version of a chorizo flavored bean here, so you're not really missing the meat. You're still getting that super flavorful dish without adding the fat and all that of a traditional chorizo.
I love that comparison. I'm definitely gonna make this. Or if we've got any left over, I'm gonna take some home.
We brought a lot, so
I know.
hopefully.
Oh, it smells so good. Mm.
Just a few more minutes.
And so if you start with a refried bean first, it's going to take you even less time to prepare this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, with these beans, we will, and like we did yesterday in the test run, we will mash them up just with a spoon. So the back of a spoon. If you have something a little bit more professional, you can do that. There are bean mashers out there that you can buy.
Potato masher.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of potato masher around here. I use them all the time.
Yeah.
Or the back of the measuring cup.
Yeah, that's actually really smart too.
It's a larger flat surface,
Yeah.
and allows you to get in there.
It's much more efficient. I spent a good amount of time with the back of one spoon.
So I didn't drain these. Usually, like you can drain them, and instead of adding the liquid that's in the can, you can just kind of fill the can halfway with water and use that liquid instead. But you do want a little bit of liquid in this to have, like Jesus was saying, the flavors kind of like meld into that, and that's what's cooking into the beans. So we're gonna just let these simmer as well for a little bit.
You can also
Before
use a
mashing.
broth if you want to add a little more flavor there too. To Sophie's point earlier, if you're making a chicken soup and you have this really good broth that you put onion and carrot all that into, putting that and also like sacrificing about half a cup of that for the beans also adds another layer of flavors there too.
Nice. It's more veggies.
And more veggies.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, this will just kind of be going, and then once it's done, when we build the tostadas, when we'll add the cheese on top of the actual tostada once it's built.
Perfect. Well, let's put this cheese up here, and we will be able to pull it out when we build our tostadas. Okay, so we've got our chicken option, we've got our vegetarian option, vegan if you don't add the cheese, and then last but not least, our pescatarian option or our cold option for the green tostada. I'm really excited about this one. I mean, I'm always excited about all of them, but look at how beautiful and fresh all of these things look on this tray.
So we've got our ingredients include cilantro. Actually, our ingredients include cilantro, jalapeno. You can also use serrano peppers. Actually, I think we have, so y'all can see the differences here.
Yeah.
So jalapeno peppers are these larger ones that you're probably pretty familiar with. Serrano peppers are a little bit hotter and kind of they just have a different flavor profile that I really enjoy a lot more. So if I'm making eggs for breakfast, I'll probably throw some serranos in.
I would say they're a little more savory, while jalapenos are a little more fresh.
Yes, that's a good place.
Nice.
So we are doing a ceviche style. So we have these limes that we have juiced into this bowl, some cucumber, lots of cilantro, which is classic for ceviche, tomato that you see here diced, and onion.
Yeah, and here I did actually 2 jalapenos and 1 serrano to not make it too spicy, but give it a little bit of a kick. And for this one, you do probably want red onion just because it has more of like that vibrant flavor. But again, you can use white onion or green onion, depending on what you have available to you. So we already drained the tuna from these, but probably.
You need we can come right here. You're gonna need a spatula. There you go. Everything in the bowl. So this one's just a little more chopping heavy,
Yeah.
but no cooking involved. This is great for those hot days, like we had fake fall last week, and now it's hot again.
So in a traditional ceviche, the lime juice is actually cooking the fish. Just the acid in it will cook the fish for you. But in this case, since we're using tuna, we don't need to leave it to soak as long, but it still gives us a really great flavor. Do you want to put the tuna now or at the end?
Maybe at the end. I want to add a little salt as well. Not get this to waste.
And the reason we're holding off on the tomato is so it doesn't get too soft.
And then I noticed when we were prepping earlier that you peeled the cucumber
Yes.
and you also took out the seeds, right?
Yes, and that's so the skin is just like a preference for the type of cucumber that we had. But if it doesn't bother you, you can keep it on. And then we did de-seed it just because it has a lot of moisture, and this way you're just kind of getting the crunch of the cucumber without adding too much extra moisture to the dish.
That's a great explanation for the moisture part. My mother-in-law is from Thailand, and when she makes a cucumber salad for her restaurant buffet, she'll look at the inside of the cucumber and she's like, these seeds are too big. And that's when she takes it out, is when the seeds are too big.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, when the seeds are too big, there's more moisture in the middle of the cucumber, which
Yeah, definitely.
I never associated with that.
Yeah, if you have like an English cucumber or
Yeah.
a Persian cucumber, those often have way smaller seeds.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have to do it for that. But this was kind of just your like generic, like really thick skin
Yeah.
cucumber that, might need a little more.
I feel the same way. Yeah, English, when possible, that's my cucumber of choice, for sure. The skin does feel a lot thinner.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think they taste better. That's just me. We all have preferences and access, right? That looks so good.
The smell of the cilantro and the lime juice together makes my mouth water.
Yes. Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah, I'm just gonna move these beans around so they don't stick.
Cool. There it is. So this, ideally, right, would marinate for a little while.
Yeah, since it's already cooked, it can be as little as 30 minutes just to let the flavors really melt together. And you want a chilled fish, of course. But like you could do it the day before and leave it for the next day, or just like 4 hours. But at least, 30 minutes.
This is a great sub for your classic tuna salad too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for a lower fat option without mayo in it, you can easily go for something like this that's more marinated with the acid. You can put a little bit of olive oil if you want to, not necessary, because the tuna is going to give you enough fat to help you absorb all the nutrients from everything in the dish. I'm a big fan of the marinated tuna salad.
Me too.
That sounds really good.
Cool. Okay. Shall we build some tostadas?
So.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take this tray out the way. There we go. Need some things for scooping.
Yeah.
And something
What?
mash.
Mash. I think there's something here.
There's a potato masher in the second drawer if you want that.
Perfect.
Or there you go. Get the potato masher. And then we have other options for that as well.
Yeah, you could always use like an immersion blender for something like this too, if you happen to have one.
Yeah.
You can also, if you cook it down enough, just leave the beans whole. I've just, for time's sake and consistency, just mash it them.
And y'all were sharing with me that the base for a tostada typically is beans.
Typically, yeah.
So all tostadas are gonna have the bean component.
Just like the sauce or the cheese in a pizza, it kind of keeps the other ingredients on the carb on the bread.
There you go. There you go. That's perfect. And I know it might feel like you should use a fork or a spoon to eat your tostadas, but traditionally,
Yeah, you just eat it with your hands. Should I start loading up one of the?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, I would right here. You can load this up pretty well.
And if you lose a lot of toppings while you eat it, you can always just grab another tostada and eat the toppings from the plate.
Yes, I think nachos are a much better comparison. Now that you say that too.
Yeah. So then you just have your serving like this. You could top this off with a little bit of hot sauce or some avocado if you wanted to. You would even do maybe some shredded lettuce or something if you wanted to add some more greenery there.
Nice.
Cabbage, actually, yeah, for the seafood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a thing? Cabbage and seafood?
Yes.
Like a fish taco
Yeah.
often has like a slaw on top
Yeah.
that's made from
And
cabbage.
it's always cabbage. I never associated that. I love that.
This got a little fish juice on
Oh, I
it.
see. Replacement. Try to get some of that. There you go.
Oops. There we go.
Thank you.
Do the beans, and I'll do the chicken.
Sure. Just over here. Spread this here.
So yeah, our mom would always, make this and then have like Jesus said, like a shredded lettuce or cut up tomatoes, avocado, just different veggies that you can add. To kind of just make a salad on top of the tostada.
So we actually have two different kinds of cheese here. This one here is called Queso con Tinga, and the texture you'll find is a lot more like a grated Parmesan. And then Queso Fresco, which is has a lot more moisture to it. It's almost like a feta cheese, but it doesn't have the same tang. It's just very salty and mild.
Yeah.
So you can just crumble it with your fingers.
I would say cotija also has like the saltiness of like a parm as well.
That looks so good. They look so pretty on the plate together too.
Yeah, and all of these recipes are very good with like leftover stuff, which is really very, very useful, very kind of workaday recipes. Nothing too fancy. And you could also top this off with sour cream, or I actually prefer Greek yogurt to cut down the fat and increase the protein. And you could garnish the tostada with, like Sophia was saying, lettuce, tomato, onions.
Some of the queso fresco as well.
Queso fresco is also very, very appropriate for this. And so yeah, here you go.
They are beautiful, and I cannot wait to dig in.
Do we each want to take a bite?
We can, but so we have to take small bites.
Yes.
Small bites, because that's one thing I have.
We have to take a picture, right?
Yes, we have to take a picture.
Okay.
Maybe we won't take the bite.
We won't take the bite. We won't take the
We'll
bite.
just sit
It's
here and be
fine.
like, chewing for like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
of the
it's fine.
video.
It's fine. No bite.
Thank y'all so much for coming out to the food bank today and making this video with us as we celebrate Hispanic American Heritage Month and your beautiful, beautiful cultural foods. We really also appreciate our relationship with you all as you volunteer, and we're able to source some of our food items that are in the warehouse through Tolteca Foods. So I have to make sure that I say thank you to you for that perspective. It's really important to us to make sure that our neighbors see food options within a pantry setting that are familiar. And you guys play a big role in that for us.
Yeah, we were super excited to become to be partners with you guys. I think most recently we've done a lot of tortillas and stuff. So if you've gotten tortillas from the food bank, there's a good chance they were ours, and we're really happy to be helping the community.
Fantastic. So if you all want to learn some more or anything more about Tolteca Foods, their website is here on the bottom of the screen. I'll also drop it in the caption of the video. And then for these amazing recipes, don't worry, we're not going to leave you hanging. You can scan this QR code with your phone camera, or you can go to the link on the screen there. It is a bit.ly link. There we go. bit.ly/pantry-2-plate-tostadas. So thank you again for being here, and we cannot wait to maybe, make more content with you in the future.
I'd love that.
Cool. Thanks
Thanks for having
again.
Thank you.
We'll see you in 2 weeks for another episode of Pantry to Plate.